Hello, everybody. Welcome. Rosa Psych Investigator. Hello, everybody. Welcome. Rosa Psych Investigator. So, today's topic is going to be. I always say I'm trying to change it. Not today. This video, because sometimes I may now I'm making more than one video a day. But this video is about something that's happening with the Supreme Court tomorrow, where they will make a decision about the legality of Trump's use of tariffs. And it's interesting because it's interesting because, of course, it impacts the world, it impacts us, it impacts a lot of businesses. So there have been many businesses, high level corporations, that have joined the case with amicus briefs, right? Amicus briefs are these letters in support of something, in support of this legal event situation. Obviously, I'm not a lawyer, so but I just wanted to share. So let's go to this article just to understand it a little bit better. This is from this Financial Times. Businesses press Supreme Courts to strike down Donald Trump's emergency tariff power. About 40 briefs have been filed challenging signature policy ahead of Shope's hearing. Businesses, lawmakers, and former U.S. officials are pressing the U.S. Supreme Court to rule against Donald Trump's use of emergency tariff powers ahead of a Shope's hearing this week. About 40 legal briefs have been filed by groups ranging from the U.S. Chamber of Commerce to former national security officials in opposition to the signature policy by the U.S. president. The signature policy the U.S. president has relied on to wage his trade wars. Trump on Sunday said he will not attend Wednesday's hearing, but described it as one of the most important cases in the history of our country. Okay, so let's see. His lawyers, this is Trump's lawyers, argue that depriving the president of the authority to impose tariffs would thrust America back to the brink of economic catastrophe. The Chamber of Commerce, the U.S.'s largest business association, counters that the irreparable harms already suffered by American businesses, large and small, underscore the vast economic consequences of the president's tariffs. Okay, let's see. The case could also, here it is, the ruling is going to be fundamental and foundational for the president's agenda going forward. A lawyer at Squire Patton Boggs and a former Trump economic official, I guarantee you that law students are going to be reading about this court case for a long time. The case could also determine the future of more than $50 billion in extra tariff revenue that the U.S. government has collected in 2025, a windfall that has soothed investors nervous about U.S. borrowing levels. Think tanks lodging legal briefs against the measure include the pro-market Cato Institute and Goldwater Institute. So that's the issue here. Now, this is I think it's very important. So let me get started on asking about this. And then okay, so also there was something else I read here that I wanted to cover just to show you, because it's a question I need to ask. Foreign officials and diplomats maintain the Trump administration will seek to use alternative legal measures to impose tariffs if the use of emergency powers is curtailed by the courts. We know that the president will maintain tariffs regardless of what the court says, said Kathleen Clausen, a law professor at Georgetown and former U.S. trade official. That is not to say he would ignore the courts. It's just to say that he has many other ways to apply tariffs. So we'll also ask, right, if it goes against what Trump wants, then could he try to continue to do this in other ways? Okay. All right. So let's get started. All right. And by the way, I did do the cards already. And but let's ask here, just one. Um, okay. What will they decide? And well, two separate questions. Okay. So I'll do the protection. I'd like to ask for protection. A beautiful ray of light coming on top of my head as I breathe in. I fill my lungs as I breathe out. I create a circle. I create a circle. I step into it. I step into it. I feel protected. I feel connected. I like to ask that information come only from the highest sources, that it create the good and all the good, and so it is. So, what will the Supreme Court decide? Will he be able to continue? Immediately, it's funny. It tells me it's going to split the conservatives because they, especially Gorsuch, are very pro-business. And for example, the Cato Institute uh, is the domain of the Koch brothers, right? So, so, um, so it's saying that so it told me literally just now. It said they need. It said it's going to split the conservatives, and they need all the conservatives to be on board with this in order for this to pass. So I feel like what they may say is something like, if there's a legitimate emergency, which there isn't, it's saying it would have to, well, are they going to really say it? They're going to have to be case by case basis. That would be a lot with the powers. So where are they going to decide? Is it so for let's just get the case of, let's say, for example, China and Canada, two different examples, like, because I prefer to have something concrete. So what are they going to do? No, they cut the paper like this. No, I feel like no. Is that right? Let's see what is, but overall, the power to issue tariffs. Now, I see Trump suffering a defeat. Um, because, honestly, guys, it's almost like I don't believe it. They will side against him just because now the Supreme Court is truly just as responsible, right? So let's see what is going to happen in the case of the China. Let's see here the case of the China tariffs. What's going to happen with China tariffs? Adjudication, okay. Official. Adjudication is negotiation, okay. Marriage deal. Woman, honor, lost person. So, right, unexpected. So, okay, so right, adjudication, negotiation with officials. Important is very important, and I think the false person here would suggest it's not justified. So will it, okay, so what is it? I feel like Trump is frustrated. So is Trump going to celebrate this? How does it feel? Oh, he's not. No, I don't feel like he's happy. So, okay. So let me, let's just go I actually pulled the cards before. I planned to do it yesterday. I didn't, but so I'm doing today. So the cards I pulled yesterday related to this specific. Let me do that. Let me grab the cards and and uh and then I'll ask at the end the last question, is he going to try to continue it somehow? Okay, so where is share the screen? It's saying it is telling me here, say Rosie, the Supreme Court will make a decision, right? Sometimes it's not a very it's not a yes or no. It's not clear cut. It's like sometimes there's instances where they can do this or that or not. So, okay. So the question is, SCOTUS, what will they decide? Now, I pulled the card of courthouse just to establish that it's the Supreme Court. Now we have the demise means losses. The paths, no, wait, the crossroads, actually. This is a card of making a choice. It's also a card of election. It's also a card of options, right? And in a way, if you think of commerce, that's definitely trade, right? It don't went away, right? If you think about it, the going back and forth. So loss of trade because of related to the man. Then we have disappointment upside down. But disappointment means if it's upright, it's a little bit better. Means me moving on from disappointment, making an offer, making plans. So this is the decision. So I interpret this to say that it's interesting. There's losses for sure, in that it has caused losses to the U.S. and that in a way it I feel like it's saying, I think in some ways it's not going to be absolute, that you have to make a reasonable offer in some way. Not, it can't just be like I decide to do it and therefore it is. Okay. So, and then I see this image of Trump actually being very like upset, because it's a really great bullying tool for him, right? Because you can create a lot of harm in countries very quickly when you announce these tariffs. Okay. And then now I had to ask this question, because even though the cards are like don't look great for Trump, they're not like super negative, right? So I had to ask, will the SCOTUS rule in Trump's favor? And then you can see again, I picked the male card to signify Trump. Then you have the cloud, which is uncertainty on something behind the scenes. The next to it, we have the whip, right? The whip is fighting disagreements. The heart means values. Uh, then we have here the chariot. Now, the chariot upside down is interesting because upright is card of victory, but if it's upside down, sometimes it can mean abuse of power. You have create, now the Five of Wands is disagreements, fighting. When it's disagreements, when actually this particular card, when it's upside down, it means that there's factions, right? To create the division and create division, essentially, to divide on purpose. And what's really great here is the Eight of Cups. To me, it's very significant in this case because it means Trump will have to walk away. So, in other words, that it's unclear, right? Unclear here, the reason for the aggression against, it could even be allies, right? Against people that, because the whole point is emergency power, so you have to define why. So there's unclear motives for all these attacks and the fighting. It's abuse of power that will create separations and divisions that he should have walked away from. So he's going to have to turn around. Okay. So that's interesting. I thought that was, to me, it defined, it was, had a clearer um, description. Okay. But then I didn't ask, let me use just these particular cards. What will Trump do about it once the decision has been made? Will he continue these tariffs? Will they continue to issue tariffs, or this tariff going to be valid? What's going to happen? Let's see, journey, wealthy man. Okay, doesn't think much. Concern. That's not much. Material. Okay, and experience. So in a way, honestly, let me just get, because it doesn't tell me much, but also this deck is not maybe the best one for it. It says the wealthy people are concerned. That's right, but that was the whole case for the Supreme Court. And message of concern. You could say that the mature women could represent kind of the consumer economy at large. And privileged lady is a card that tends to mean lack of experience. But let's see here what the tarot will say. So tell me, what will Trump do if the Supreme Court rules against him? What will happen to the tariffs after the ruling? Oh, so some couple cards fell, which is good. Not celebrating. Lack of resources. Okay. Action. New beginning. Okay. Working together. Okay. Yeah, so it suggests that this is like so not Trump, right? To actually to work together on something that I to me it's interesting. It suggests that what could actually do, guys. This could change. Could you just talk more? There's something about the truth about the economy coming out, right? And he is going to have to do something. So what is it? What is Trump going to do? What is going to come out of? It's saying it's coming out in a way or another that the froth is manufactured. So okay, so how let's say this. How will Wall Street react to the news? Because Wall Street tends to like when the tariffs are down, but it's already overhyped. Okay, irregular, right? The taco asserting itself, fighting. I'm burning, selling, could be selling, changing fortunes. But it tells me it's changing fortunes for Trump because again, in the way that he was using the tariffs was really all about being a bully. And when his tool, like his weapon, he weaponized this, right? Against like, remember when Canada made a video about Reagan, then the next day he issued 10% more tariffs just because of that. And that's an abuse of power, right? They can't, so they're not allowed to criticize him basically. And he's going to do something that's ridiculous, right? That's not a normal situation. So what does this mean for Trump, the outcome of this ruling? Again, interesting. Now we see, huh, here again. Okay, clouds, uncertainty, women, stress. Oh, this could it be the whole guilt and guilty money, shady money. So I think it has to do with his corruption. Honestly, and nowadays when we look at, I forgot to think of this. When we look at women with Trump, we have to remember the E-files, right? By the way, guys, there was a video recently I made about Epstein. And it was like it was flagged by YouTube. So I have to be careful with what I say right nowadays about that because they will sometimes limit things. So anyway, but that was that. That was that. I hope it's clear. So it's saying it will be 80% against his thing. And it's actually telling me, no worries. Remember, a long time ago, you said that the tariffs would not last. But it really feels like as he's starting to lose power in his power in the sense of like normal power, right? He is, he gets crazier and crazier because he was never supposed to be doing these things in the first place. But he gets, uh, he gets nervous. So, okay. All right. So thanks for watching and I'll see you soon.